Today's vlog is all about making choices, and making choices that may be surprising for someone who is vlogging a cross-country road trip. Because on this video, I make a choice to put the camera away for the most significant time of the day. So we're going from Nebraska, Kearney, Nebraska, through to Des Moines. And I record a little bit in Kearney and a little bit on the road, and then silence until the next day from Des Moines to South Bend. So you will see me in Kearney doing normal stuff. And then I'm off to visit a friend of mine who I have not seen in person since the early 80s. And I made that significant choice that I made. And when I got home and started editing these videos, I thought, what was that all about? It was about making the right choice. So we are going to start in the morning, as we always do, in Kearney, Nebraska. We're going to make our way down the road a little bit, and then I'll tell the story of why it is that I chose not to record, because I think it's important for all of us when we are content creators to make choices that will serve us long term and to allow us to stay present to the moment, and how sometimes that means doing the least thing you would expect to do as a content creator. So I'm grateful you're here. It's time to get in the passenger seat. We're going to keep on driving. Away we go. Hang on tight. My early morning fill up at a place called Casey's, and we're very close to a Rails and Trails Museum. And you have to know, I'm dying to go there, but I'm also meeting a childhood friend in a couple of hours in Omaha or Lincoln, Lincoln-ish area. So I can't go to that museum. It's hurting my heart. You would think after yesterday's extravaganza, on a day when I thought I would see nothing, that I would calm down, but no. I'm fueling up, and I'm going to leave Kearney, Nebraska goodbye. I'm so sad. I want to stick around Kearney, Nebraska. I want to see what it's all about. Maybe next time. They even have a cute little Starbucks here. That surprises me. And they're even welcoming me here. Thank you, Casey's. When you're driving on the highway, always be prepared for surprising little who knows what to pop up. Sometimes when you go driving, things will happen. Interesting sights like that bridge. I still don't know what that is for, what its purpose is. But when I was driving just freshly out of Kearney, I had put something in my trunk and hadn't closed it right. So I had to pull off, and oh my goodness, I just had to take a brief walk. Here's a couple clips that are vertical that I took. Tracy West, Tracy with an IE, she's the one who told me or modeled to me that it's okay to have vertical videos within your not vertical videos. It occurs to me that yesterday I did not go for a walk at all. I see a flock of geese. Oh my goodness. They're headed straight toward me. I just have to. Something happens with all this driving, and especially when you turn off the podcasts and turn off the audiobooks and turn off the music and just let the miles speak to you. It's like, yeah, the miles are a journey, but there's also a journey of the soul that happens. And when I met up with my friend Leslie, that continued into the tree hug in Nebraska in her backyard. It continued and continued and continued and continued. Such an incredible day. Ultimately, this vlog today is about the story of friendship and the power of stories, but not in the best way. Some of my friends from childhood I've been in touch with for most of the time. Leslie was not one of those friends. Leslie and I grew up in Glen Ridge, New Jersey, and we went through not elementary school, but middle school until I was a freshman in high school. We were very close. We kept in touch all the way through college. The last time that I saw her was in our sophomore year of college. She was a different school than me, and she came to visit. We went to San Francisco, had a great time. But then we kind of lost contact, and I don't really know why. And one of the things that I remembered as we talked is we always had a sort of spiritual longing, both of us did. We knew each other from confirmation class at our church, where a lot of us, growing up in a small northeastern town, suburb of New York City, there was one high school. There were 3 elementary schools, a middle school, and a high school. And once you got into 5th grade, all of the kids would be the people who most of them would graduate with. I moved, but they all stayed together. Now, Leslie and I, I'm trying to think if we met in 4th grade, because we were in the church children's choir, which started in 4th grade. But I just remember that she and I hit it off from the very beginning. We didn't necessarily know that there was a spiritual factor. And in fact, today, our spirituality is quite different. But I really feel strongly about that core, how the core of love bridges different ways that we package ourselves and our beliefs. So I had kept up with Leslie. We were both bloggers. She's more artistic than me. She always was more artistic in the visual arts sense than I was. And so, gosh, I think when we were in our late 30s, early 40s, I was really surprised to find her. And I had Googled her. I'm a really good sleuth. So I knew kind of what she had been up to since graduate school, but not a whole lot. And then after blog stuff slowed down, I found her on Instagram, and that's when I started to see her more often, but still not a lot. But we kept contact. So when this trip was being scheduled and I was making lists of what people I wanted to see, I knew that I really wanted to see Leslie. I had made up this story that she didn't want to be my friend. Have you ever done that? I had made up the story that I must have done something stupid to hurt her feelings, or I definitely took the responsibility on myself for the losing contact. And that's pretty normal for me. I'm getting emotional about that. That's just something I do, which goes along with some of my history, that I will take on that I was the one in the wrong for almost anything. So I reached out to Leslie and I said I was going to be coming through, and I would really enjoy getting together with her. And with road tripping, I was like, I'm not exactly sure when I'll come through. And then a few days ahead, I had mapped out, I said, okay, this is where I'm stopping, and then I'll go straight to where you are. And she was really excited about seeing me. And I thought, maybe she doesn't hate me. And by the time I got there, I got to her home, and she was like waiting, as when people did that the whole road trip. So I had to be prepared to leap out of my car and jump into action. But face to face, we talked the entire time. Sounds like, remember when I met Leah in Dallas? It was really, truly remarkable. And we talked again about death. We talked about our parents. We talked about choices we had made. We talked about siblings, because in a small town, you all know each other. We talked about friends. We talked about our children. We talked about parenting. We talked about grieving. We talked about spirituality. And it was so deep that at one point, when I was talking to her, this is going to sound weird, and I don't know how to say it without. Okay, so at one point, I was saying something to the effect of, and it was one of those almost out-of-body experiences, where I was saying how true it was to be together again. And I said, and also how authentic it felt to see someone who I hadn't seen in all of these decades. And we had shared these pivotal moments in our adolescence, and how much, even when I was absent, there was still such deep love that was felt, that was timeless, that was effortless, that was true, that was sacred, that was holy, that was beyond words and really difficult to express. And we just held that ground. And as time was ticking away and I had to leave, I didn't want to leave. I did, but I didn't want to leave. And we will be seeing each other again. But wow, it was just so, so, so beautifully intense. I did hug a tree. I wanted to hug a tree in her yard for my Nebraska tree. I will not post a photo of Leslie because what we experienced, what I experienced, was so intensely wonderful. And I did not want to document it all. And for the rest of the day, I was at that same level of deep honoring the person who I was and who Leslie was, and our families and our small town and who we are now. And it was just so precious. And it feels precious to tell the story to you. It's almost like I feel like I'm putting that moment in time in a sacred container and saying, here. We can go from wacky stories of romance in a bar in Oatman to, I'm trying to think of some of the other wackiness on the way, to hanging out in Fort Worth and being silly, to leaving Tennessee. Was I in Tennessee? Yeah, leaving Tennessee and being so cold and hugging a tree, and it was so freezing that it is as if each moment, each destination, each moment along the way was just so rich. And I think it was in those moments after I left Leslie's house and I was driving to Des Moines that I knew that while I was the same person who I was when I left New Jersey, I was not the same person. It was like I was a more clarified version of myself. I was more who I had been all along, but that somehow I had forgotten. And when I looked in Lisa's eyes and just let it riff, let it free flow without thinking or worrying about the stories I had built over the years, it was just magical. And I truly hope that each of and all of you may have an experience like that as well in your life. So the road trip will continue, but I think that a month ago when I was in Nebraska to today, which ironically is Easter Sunday, no accidents, I was almost afraid to share the magic of these events, to call it closed, because I'm not one who ties things up in a big red bow and says done. I hope I'm making at least some sense. So as content creators and vloggers and people out there doing our best and sharing our lives with one another generously, I hope that you too will think about the moments you're sharing and also the moments you're not sharing. I've been known to share a lot of really private moments. And I stand by those private moments that I share. And yet, stepping aside from being content creator, when dear relationships with loved ones, even loved ones you haven't seen in all those years, when the love was so strong and yet fiercely tender at the same time. Thank you so much for watching Iowa. I also make a lot of Iowa jokes and Field of Dreams jokes, and I know you all won't want to miss that. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I have been so blessed to have you along with me on these two halves of the same road trip. I hope that you have enjoyed it as much as I have, and we have a few more days to go, and I am so blessed to be in your presence on the way. And here are some clips of videos that are coming up right on the horizon. You won't want to miss any of this. Can you figure out what this place is? Any ideas? Any thoughts at all? What on earth is that flag anyway? And what are that looks like it might be a costume from some theater? I don't know. Oh, and here's some snow. And I think we might still be on Route 80. Oh, wait, Punxsutawney. What the heck is going to happen in Punxsutawney? Oh, yes, remember to subscribe, etc., watch videos. Thanks.